So, our last part that we will look at, before we come to that one, we have, first of all, this last part is you have to, at least you have to explain the significance of globalization of markets for international business, and you need to know what is globalization and what are the business effects of globalization. Now, another part of interest, apart from what we have been looking at, is another issue of forces driving globalization. Forces driving globalization. I think when we talk about these forces driving globalization, there are other forces of which they are driving this globalization to happen. So we have got other forces. Hello? Did you class that? There are other forces that are driving globalization. So the fact that we are looking at this, so let's look at these forces driving globalization. I know for the forces to be there, that's why we have got what are called barriers. We have what are called falling barriers. There are barriers in trade and investment. Those barriers, there are problems, because where there are forces, it means that inside there are barriers, there are problems, and the forces will come. Then we are looking at these forces. One of these forces under globalization, there are two of them which we are going to look at. We have got two major forces driving globalization. The first one we are looking at as the falling barriers to trade and investment. The falling barriers to trade and investment. So we have got falling barriers to trade and investment. One. And secondly, the second force we'll be looking at, apart from the falling barriers to trade and investment, the second one is technological innovation. So the second one is what's called technological innovation. Technological innovation. Now, let's look at these two areas. Let's look at these areas. These two areas of what are referred to as forces driving globalization. The first force we are looking at it as the falling barriers to trade and investment. The falling barriers to trade and investment. Right, these falling barriers to trade and investment is coming in as due to the formation of the two areas. We have got the formation of what is called GATT, General Agreement on Trade and Tariff. Falling barriers is coming in because of there was a formation of GATT in 1947. GATT means General Agreement on Trade and Tariff. General Agreement on Trade and Tariff. That happened in 1947. It happened in 1947, where there were about 23 countries or nations, and out of these 23 nations, 12 came from developed countries, while 11 developing economies. So we are looking at that there were 23 countries due to the formation of GATT. And then we'll look at these issues in our discussions. But what I'm trying to tell you is that the formation of this GATT, 12 from developed and 11 from developing countries. You will take a snapshot of this, what I'm talking about, through your phone, and then you can see them. I'm just looking at somebody, you will take it after, right? Then you're looking at 12 from developed and 11 from developing economies. And out of this, they made what's called General Agreement on Tariff and Trade, GATT, of which it was a treaty that countries had to come because they wanted to reduce tariff. Tariff is a soko, right, on goods. So they said, no guys, that was after, the moment after Second World War, because Second World War finished in 1945. First World War started in 1914 and it ended in 1918, 4 years, right? Second World War started in 1939 and ended in 1945. 1945 again. Now, if you look at these two wars, the moment they finished the Second World War, 1947, is when they formed GATT, because economies were in a state of zero. People had to fight, and all the economies, the countries were nothing. Their economies were totally in problems. As a very good example, now there's this war in Russia. There's this war about Ukraine and what? And Russia, right? These two. Now, after you see, they have this is the second year, right? Now, after the third year, do you think that their economies will be well? It won't be okay. The economies will, because they have destroyed their economy, right? Again, the same happened in 1945. After coming from the Second World War, the economies of countries were in a dilapidated situation, and then it forced the nations now that they wanted it to what? They wanted it to make their economies well. How is when they formed what is called GATT. GATT, they formed GATT because what they wanted several countries to come together, right, to help each other, so that their economies has to be very, very well. That was 1947. But again, this issue of 1947, the GATT tried again. It proved very well. It proved up to a certain time that nations now had to see, no, I think we are not satisfied with this GATT, right? They said, no, I think the only thing is let's form another body, and they disbanded completely GATT, and they formed another body, and this body that they formed was what is called WTO, which is World Trade Organization. GATT, then they're coming to WTO, simply because they are changing, because GATT was a long time, and WTO, they just formed it very, very recently. So World Trade Organization came into existence, again enforcing the rules of international trade. They were trying to enforce the rules of international trade. It had three major aims, it had three major goals. And these are: one, to help free flow of trade. World Trade Organization had three aims. One, to help free flow of trade. The second one, to negotiate for further opening of markets. And at the same time, the last one was to settle trade disputes among member states. So you can see, GATT came with their own aims, and again, World Trade Organization had now improved the aims of GATT. They came up with their own. Now, the fact that they are coming up with their own now aims is what you can see that one. The major aim was to help each other in the free flow of trade, and at the same time to help each other to negotiate for further opening of markets. They would say, guys, let's opening markets, let's do this. So you can see that all these were happening during the time that they are coming from the Second World War. That's why they are trying to form the country. Now, World Trade Organization, WTO, was formed just very recently. It was around 1980 something when they formed this World Trade Organization. They did not form this one long time. 1947 is when they formed the GATT. But this World Trade Organization, they tried to, because they were trying to say, this World GATT was formed long time. Why can't we change and then we form something very nice and just very recent? It's when now they formed what is called the World Trade Organization. All in all, what are we trying to say here? All in all, we are saying that these are some of the forces driving globalization. For globalization to happen, it came because of the formation of the falling barriers to trade. That trade had, by that time, there were barriers to trade. So for them to remove those barriers, what they came up with was the formation of GATT and the formation of WTO, which is World Trade Organization. The aim behind for the formation of this one, they wanted to remove barriers, because sometimes a country A could not allow to trade to country B. Country B could not allow to trade for country C. There was sanctions. And then to remove these sanctions is when now this GATT and this World Trade Organization is coming in, so that these barriers they are trying to they are trying to fill the gaps that we don't want this, we don't want this. What we want is the free flow of trade, free flow of commodities. Trade commodities has to move from A up to B, from B up to C. There must be that, right? The second one, the second driving force apart from that one is what is called the technological innovation. Technological innovation, we are looking at it as now the second one. If we are to define what is technological innovation, we are looking at it as advancement of technologies. It's coming in as another driving force of globalization. So how nowadays we are having what is called an email. We have got what is called video conferencing. All these, whether it's video conferencing or we are looking at it as an email, all these they are referred to as they are being taken as driving forces to globalization. Because globalization, for it to happen now, it is these things that are speeding it up. Video conferencing, again, emails. You are able to buy something through emails. You are looking at it as, again, another, apart from video conferencing or email, internet nowadays is rampant. Internet, the world of internet and even extranet is there. So we're looking at world of we call it World Wide Web, WWW, World Wide Web. Nowadays, just you say you find things on the internet. That's what is called technological innovation. Things are now changing. That's why we have got these are the driving forces to globalization. Now, what are the things that are making globalization to do it fast? One of them it is technological innovation. Good technology, it has driving things to go very fast. Apart from that one, we are looking at intranets and extranets, and again we are looking at advancement in transportation technologies. Nowadays, even we have got fridges, we are making refrigerator cars. We are looking at that as advanced in transportation technology. Advanced in transportation technology. Aeroplanes and whatsoever. This they are referred to as everything out of that. It's referred to as globalization. We are looking at it as a driving force of globalization. Therefore, if you are to define what are the driving force of globalization, what made globalization to be so fast, we are looking at it as the first one, because economies were not well, then things were not well, they were worse. In 1947, the formation of GATT and WTO one. And secondly, we are looking at it in terms of that globalization to be so fast, driving forces leading to globalization. We are looking at it as technological innovation. We are looking at the internet, email, extranets, WWW. We have got what are called advancement in transportation technologies. We are nowadays, we have got refrigerated transport. You can take Mario from South Africa to Malawi. There are refrigerators there. You can take something, there are refrigerators in other transport. So we are looking at it as transportation technologies. that leads to globalization. I think we can stop it there for today, that we have seen what globalization and how globalization is affecting our economies in the country. And we have seen the two types of globalization: globalization of markets and globalization of production. Lastly, we have seen driving forces that leading to globalization. So we are saying that one of the driving forces is the formation of the GATT and the WTO due after 1947, immediate after the World War, when economies were in dilapidated state. And secondly, we have seen it as technological innovation as another driving force to globalization. Do you have questions or do you have observations? Questions? I think for today, let's